Or maybe, am I the mayor until the new one is sworn in? Okay, hey, I'm still the mayor. So what we're actually gonna do is we're gonna do the swearing in first. But before we do that, we always start every meeting, every gathering with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So would you join me for that, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'm going to ask the two council members that are going to be sworn in. Should we do them first, since I'm still legally the mayor? Let's do it. Okay.
Sure.
We're going to swear them in, and then you can swear me in.
All right.
So.
Do we want to go up there? Or do we want to do it up here?
No, we'll do it down here.
Okay.
Because I'm sure Allie will want pictures.
Yeah. If you want to look into that camera, there's a camera there.
Oh, yeah. All right. We can probably do this together. Yeah. The only difference, of course, is when you say I, you have to say government. So, all right. So this is the oath of office. I,
Brian Government,
do solemnly swear.
do solemnly
You
swear
can say it
Oh.
to support the Constitution of the United States,
to support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and to discharge faithfully
and to discharge faithfully
the duties of the office of council member
the duties of the office of council member
for the city of Minnetrista,
for the city of Minnetrista,
Minnesota,
Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God.
to the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God.
Congratulations. And we keep one for the rest. All right.
Oh,
you want those? All right.
All right, you ready?
All right.
We have the mayor here. Mayor of
Still mayor.
So, oath of office, I, say your name,
I, Lisa Whalen,
do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and to discharge faithfully the duties of the office of mayor
and to discharge faithfully the duties of the office of the mayor
for the city of Minnetrista,
for the city of Minnetrista, Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God.
to the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God. Welcome again, Brian. Welcome back. Thank you. And welcome back.
Clearing them out. Yep. 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 They're gonna just.
And thank you, family members, for coming. We really appreciate the support.
Thank you for letting us leave early.
All right. So with that, I'll do the introductions since you don't know all of us yet, right? As you know, I'm the mayor, Lisa Whalen. We have Kathleen Refkin, council members, Peter Vickery, Claudia Lacey, and Brian Govern. And then on the end, we have our city engineer with WSB is Allison Lowski. And then we have our assistant administrators, Allie Paulfos. And then to my right, we have city administrator Jasper Krugel. Ryan Grimm is our finance director. And then we have Ron Beatty, who is our attorney, sitting in for Sarah Sonsalo. Welcome back, Ron. Nice to have you. And then we have our chief of police, Paul Falls. And then we have a couple people remote. We have Gary Peters, who is our public works superintendent. And then we also have, is David there too? I think, I'm not sure if he's remote or not.
Yes.
Okay, David Abel, who is our Community Development Director, is also joining us remotely. And then we also have Ann Meyerhoff, who is taking notes, and she is our city clerk. With that, approval of the agenda, I have a couple things. One, we're going to add 6B, that is the JPA resolution for the fire partnership agreement. And that'll be 6B. We didn't put it on consent, sorry. And forgot about it. But anyhow, so that'll be 6B, and then I also want to add just real quick under the appointments, unless somebody else has anything else, I'm going to leave it on. But we're going to add the fire partnership committee will consist of Kathleen, myself, and Jasper. So with that, any other changes or additions? All right. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda then as changed?
So
Thank you, Ms. Repkin. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Vickery. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. So next we have special presentation from Mr. Grimm. So again, congratulations regarding our 2023 award, GOFA or GFOE. You can explain what that is,
Sure.
but again, congratulations to you and staff. I know Angie Bull and also Renee help with that. So thank you very much for all your extra efforts. It does add more transparency, and also I know it's a big project. So thank you for doing that. So
Yep.
go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. And this probably isn't as cool as getting sworn into City Council. Or I think I was like elected maybe my junior year of high school, like to Student Council. But I think that was the extent of my ever getting elected, I guess. So as far as the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Award, this is, I believe, the 20th year the city has received it back to 2004. So that's a pretty nice achievement there. And it's from the Government Finance Officers Association, and these are awarded annually for cities that basically go above and beyond when doing their financial reports. There's additional statistical tables, additional data that's provided that isn't required, but it does provide more value to the report and more value to people that want to read all 120, 30 pages of it, which I know, it is for the bondholders of the city and all those different entities that do use it, or organizations and such. So it's just as the mayor said, I also want to thank Angie Bull, who is our senior accountant, and Renee Newman, our utility billing and recycling coordinator. They help a ton with the report too, as well as even just other department managers. Jasper's obviously supported this, the city council. So it's nice to get usually in finance you don't get too many awards, but this is the one time we can. So it's always nice to have. So I guess we'd just be looking to accept the award on behalf of the city, I guess, by the city council and mayor.
Thank you. And is there a motion to accept the 2023 Government Finance Officers Association Award? The reason it's 2023 is because we haven't completed the 2024 audit yet, which we will do, and then they'll also submit for 2024. So we'll see that award. I'm sure they'll get an award next year for 2024.
Yeah.
So with that, thank you, Ms. Lacy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Repkin. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. So next we have persons to be heard, and we have some of the Mader family here. Please, you can come forward. For the record, you need to state your name and address.
Hello, my name is John or Jack Mader. My address is 2009 Laurel Avenue West in Minneapolis, Minnesota, 55405. I'm not here to talk about that property. Right? I'm here to talk about the 6970 County Road 110 extension, which is just down the road here. That's a farm I grew up on. This is my sister Louise and my brother Nick. And we are here specifically to talk about I always thought it was sewer assessment charge, but I think it's a sewer availability charge. Okay, that was put on the property probably 40 years ago with the idea that sewer was coming. And I don't know what it was at the time, maybe 2,000 to 6,000, we're not sure what that charge was. My dad elected not to pay it, and he kicked the can down the road. And we've inherited that can, so to speak. But we have a sale that is more or less imminent for the property. We are looking forward to that. And this is something we need to have cleared up. And I guess what I'm hoping is that, this can be cleared up and soon, and maybe deferred is what we're hoping for. Certainly, there was.
Forgiven.
Forgiven.
You're asking for forgiveness.
We were asking. Yeah. I mean, there's no services were brought to us,
Right.
so there shouldn't be any charge for services we never received. That's our stand on it.
Right.
And, if something like this could be resolved within the next month or so, we'd be very happy with that.
So typically, we don't make decisions at a council meeting. We'll bring this back at our work session. We'll do it at the next work session. I think that's the 22nd.
Okay.
And then staff can do a report. If they need to, they'll contact you and get information. And you're welcome to attend that meeting.
That's on the 22nd.
It's on the 22nd. We start here at 5:30.
Oh, okay.
So if you'd like to be here, that would be great if we have any other questions.
Okay. Did I miss anything?
No, I think we're good.
All right.
I think
No questions?
there's a history behind this, so we'll go over that.
Would be more information discussed at that work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right.
And congratulations.
All right, so next we move on to consent agenda items. As I stated, just one small addition to our appointments. Other than that, are there any you wish to remove? If not, then consent agenda items consist of A, approve our city council regular meeting minutes from December 2nd, 2024. B is approve our appointments and designations. C is approve the conditional offer of employment for engineering technician Brendan McCarthy. And D is approve claims. E is approve preliminary plat of Carmeth Cove. And F is approve agreement with MI Homes for Woodland Cove 4th and 8th editions. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda items A through F?
So
Thank you, Mr. Victory. Is there a second? Second. I know, Brian, you tried. You tried a couple times. You have to be quicker. Miller. Thank you, Ms. Reston. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes by vote. Public hearings, we have none, so we'll move on to our business items. We'll start out with 6A, which is our city project, 0225 for 2025, our street improvement project. I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Polsky. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Whalen, members of council. This evening, we are here to discuss the proposed 2025 street improvement project. There we go. So the project consists of 3 project areas. We have the rural residential area over on the Woodbridge Trail up on the northwest side of the screen there, with North Main out. Pine Circle off County Road 44, and then the Trillium area just off of Lotus Trail on the south end of town near Highway 7. The proposed project was based on the condition of the roads, both the observed condition of the surface, and then we also got pavement cores to examine what's going on beneath that surface to determine the appropriate pavement project, and with that, we looked at getting a reclamation project based on those cores. The existing conditions through there, the summary there of each area. Pine Circle was built in 1973. We see alligator cracking, so like what you would see on the back of an alligator. That's an indication of pavement failure. And then also some potholes through that, throughout that street. And the pavement score on that one was 65. So pavement scores are 0 to 100, where 100 represents a brand new street and 0 is a completely deteriorated street. So the Pine Circle is just getting above that, just around that 65. That was from 2021. Trillium area, that was built in 1994. Pavement cores, while it's most of that area is looking good on the surface, what the pavement cores told us is that the asphalt is It's losing its bond, it's, the asphalt material is simply. Thank you. Yes, which means it's losing its bond to the aggregate. So that's why we are looking at the reclamation project through there. Those scores, those pavement condition scores range between 80 and 90. But like I said, the cores were telling us that what's below the surface is telling us a different story. And then Woodridge Trail was built approximately in 1995 with a score of 68, and the cores indicate that the base layer is failing. So with that, we are proposing a full-depth reclamation project, and that entails grinding up that pavement surface, and then for the most part leaving it on the roadbed and putting new pavement on top of it. So where we start to remove some of that reclaimed material is at driveways and where the road ties into the adjacent roads, just so that we get a good elevation, so that we're not creating issues with driveway grades and such.
And then you grind and kind of pound it, or compact it
Yes.
into the road.
Yep, so it's ground up and it's blended a little bit into the gravel material that's underneath. And then they roll the equipment over it to compact it and do testing to make sure that it meets that strong base material that you need for road. The reclamation projects are done throughout the city. So we've done it on DeShane Lane back in 2019, Stonebridge Court, Stonebridge Road in 2021. We are keeping the pavement widths to the existing. That's been our standard practice. And then we're also matching the grades, the elevations to the existing driveways and drainage patterns are maintained. We didn't really see anything, any streets that are really really steep or really flat. So we're matching those pavement grades. We'll be doing some spot curb and gutter removal and replacement in the Trillium area. So there's some cost in there. And then on Windridge, we're putting in a 1-foot shoulder just to get a little bit of strength beyond the edge of that pavement. And then the Pine Circle, there's the existing island within the cul-de-sac there that will be replaced. And then we worked with Gary as far as what that curve would look like so that we can get the curve design through there so that we can accommodate plows through that area. Utility improvements, not a lot to do out here. Pine Circle, we would be putting in an inflow and infiltration barrier and sanitary sewer. So what happens is oftentimes in Minnetrista, we're finding that the soils, they hold the water, and then once you get the granular material that goes around sanitary sewer or something, it grabs that water and can get into the sanitary sewer system. And the reason we don't want that is the sanitary sewer system gets treated, and so you don't want to pay to treat clean water. So what we do is we install a barrier. There's a picture here on the presentation that shows what that looks like. That's pretty standard now. So we'll be putting that in Pine Circle. The Trillium area already had these barriers put in previously, so that's why we're not putting them in that area. And then there's also, but however, in the Trillium area, there is city water in that area, in the Trillium area. There's one gate valve that's leaking, so we're replacing that. And then Public Works took a look at the gate valve placement and requested that we put in a couple of valves to better isolate that water main. So if there's, if there's a water system break and they need to isolate it or valve off that section, adding these 2 valves will reduce the number of folks that are out of water service for that period of time. So that was good thinking on Public Works' part there. So our projected costs, and I do apologize in the staff report, the water main improvements, I only had that for the one leaky gate valve. So this slide here reflects the additional valves that are included. So you're seeing a higher cost than what's in the packet, but we're just looking around total project cost just around $1.5 million. And that's from the feasibility report. With reclamation projects, we do look to assess a portion of the project cost. City does have an assessment policy, which calls for assessing 50% of the project cost. However, during the feasibility phase, there was some good discussion about, by following that methodology, what some of those assessments were getting a little high for council's comfort at that time. And so we looked back to a 2022 special benefit analysis, which looked at the benefit received from from a reclamation project up on North Arm. And that was capped at $10,000 per unit. So that was a discussion point that the council had at that time and gave direction to cap the assessments. The cost is, so the assessments are only on the surface improvements and storm improvements. City does not assess for sanitary sewer and water main because users are already paying into the fund for that. So you don't assess for any improvements associated with sewer or water. The assessment is proposed for typically 20 years, and there are hardship, a hardship deferment could be applied for if they meet certain criteria. And Finance Director Grimmer does a great job answering.
Yeah, it's really hard to meet that. I don't think I've seen a person meet it. And yeah, but it's always good to notate, but there's income limits and asset limits. They usually can't meet it. Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And so with that, we have some proposed assessments for Windridge Trail based on the feasibility report at $10,000 per unit for Windridge Trail. That's based on that maximum threshold that was discussed at feasibility level. For Pine Circle, we are looking at $8,700 per unit, and then the Trillium area, we're at $9,700 per unit.
Allison, how long do these roads last typically? What would you say?
It's a good question. So with a reclamation project, you would be looking to come back in with a mill and overlay probably within 8 to 10 years. Depends on how it ages through that time. So when you look at these projects, what Minnetrista has been doing is getting in some maintenance work in before it gets to a mill and overlay to try to extend that life. So we come in with reclamite usually within, I believe it's 2 years after a street project's done, and crack filling. And so there's some maintenance that goes into that to try to extend that time before you go and do like a mill and overlay. So the next time you would look at doing a reclamation type project, I think we're at like around 40 years. So a reclamation project, when you do some preventative maintenance, can really give you a long lasting road.
This is just a silly question, but I know nothing about roads. And I want to learn here. What about like a cement road? Do they do those? I mean, is that like 5 times more expensive? I mean, what is? But then does it last? I mean, I'm sure you figured this all out, but I'd like you to educate me.
Sure, they do last longer, but when we look at what a roadway does in Minnetrista, it's more than just a driving surface. We do have utilities underneath, so we also have to be cognizant of that too. You know, it would be nice to have a situation where we knew those utilities would have a lifespan that would match what a concrete pavement would do. And then there's actually a little bit of noise associated with driving on concrete. If you've ever noticed that, now you will maybe driving on than you did before, but it has, especially at higher speeds, it has a little bit of a hum to it. But it's just not typically a cost-effective surface to put on a local road. You will see them in alleys, in those cities that have back alleys, and the reason that they put them in those situations is because alleys, I don't want to get too far in the details, but I do want to give you an answer on why. When you construct a road with bituminous, you put a crown in it, so it's like a triangle, it sheds water off the road. On an alley, it's an inverted crown, so it's like a V. And so concrete is a good option in those instances because the concrete can withstand that, conveying that water better than bituminous does. So thank you for that question.
Thank you.
But even given with the current proposed bituminous, the expectation is that the road would not need to be worked on again before the assessment is paid off.
Correct.
Oh, so we wouldn't necessarily have multiple assessments on a whole lot there.
Correct. Thank you for the question. So yes, the city's policy is that mill and overlay projects are not assessed. So you would be seeing that project come in, but it's not assessed back to the property owners. It would be, if we can get 40 years out of a reclaimed road, that would be the next time we would see an assessment based on the current policy.
So the other thing that we've done, number one is the base of the road makes a huge difference as to how long the road lasts. And that's the other reason they do corings. And the other thing is, we also do, we started doing a thicker layer of asphalt. So it's not the standard, I think the standard is like 1.5 inches or 2 inches, and we do like 3 inches.
Yeah, it's typically 3.5, and I believe we're at 4.5 right now.
Right,
It's
and
a
so
little bit thicker.
the thicker the asphalt, the longer it will last, and the cost difference is not that much. And so this was a while back, we decided to change our requirements for our standards, if you will. So those will all help to make that hopefully get us to that 40 years.
Thank you. Any other questions with this? Because the next part, I'm digging a little bit deeper into assessments. Okay, so at the last meeting, there was some discussion about proposed assessment at 4125 Trillium Lane East. It's a vacant property that's on the northwest corner of County Road 44 and Trillium Lane East. The property owner reached out and asked that since this property is not only vacant, but it has an access to County Road 44, that the assessment be waived for this property. And we discussed it a little bit at the public hearing, and council asked for some more information. So I'm bringing a little more information here tonight. We certainly don't need to have a decision this evening. If council feels that they need more information, I'm happy to provide that. But I did want to follow up with council based on our last discussion. So a little bit of history here. The access to County Road 41, when I was kind of looking through, like, you know, it's a vacant property. It meets the zoning requirements for a buildable lot based on the information we have. So I went and took a look at when did that driveway access go in at County Road 44. It looks like it predates the Trillium development. I did talk to somebody at the county with regards to that access point. And he didn't know the history of that access point either, but we did talk a little bit about, you know, if a home were to be built on this property, what would we look at for driveway access? And the gentleman at the county indicated that their preference is to not have driveway accesses on the county road for safety reasons. You have vehicles traveling at higher speeds, so they would like to see those access points on the local road. And then I included in the presentation here and in the packet just a screenshot of where I anticipate there would be a driveway access for this property. There wasn't anything that really jumped out at me as far as any grade issues that would prevent a driveway access at this location. So, you know, all signs are pointing to it's feasible to have a driveway access on Trillium should that property be developed.
But the county, I'm sorry, the county would, see, because there's already an access there, that driveway could be made. I don't think that they require you to remove it.
That's my understanding.
Right.
The gentleman that I spoke to, we were just talking about, you know, what their preference would be,
Right.
but he certainly didn't say that it would be required to be removed.
And then the other question I would have, and maybe we don't need the answer tonight, but when I look at this, it looks like there's quite a lot of hardcover. So would they even qualify in terms of hardcover to subdivide? Because right now they might, if it was all one lot, it would qualify, I mean, it wouldn't exceed the hardcover. But if it was subdivided, then where are we at with hardcover? So that would be one thing. The other thing is, are all of the, so when you look at this,
looks like there's an outbuilding or a garage or something, a second garage. Is that also far enough away from a potential subdivision? In other words, does it meet that 10-foot setback? It looks like it, but I'm just asking.
Yeah, Mayor Whalen, so these properties, they're currently two separate parcels of record. So 4125 is a property of record and 4135 is a so there wouldn't be a subdivision in order for 4125 to be built on. It would simply, they would have to work with the planning department as far as, as you noted, there is an accessory structure on there, if that could remain, hardcover, all those things would have to be sorted out with the building permit application, but it is a lot of record.
No, I know it was a lot of record, I'm just saying that. I wonder.
Was that homeowner talking about shifting the property line?
Oh, the information that I provided in the packet is that the property line had historically, was in a different alignment, and that property line was shifted.
So that those outbuildings would be on the.
Yeah, I think to meet some setbacks, so I was trying to provide as much information as possible for the council to understand kind of how the area developed, and, you had a home on 4135, and through their desire to build on that property, how that changed 4125. But again, I did talk to the planning department about 4125, and if it still meets the zoning requirements for building a lot.
I want to point out, the property owner does have the ability to do a simple subdivision and combine those lots if they want to not have it be assessed as
Why
well.
haven't they just done that?
And if that's something that the council would like staff to go back to the property owner, that would be something that the council would look for in order to, so that 4125 would not be assessed, I can certainly go back to the property owner with that.
The issue though is they could always subdivide it again. I mean, they could combine them and then they could then we say, okay, it's one lot now, so we generally don't assess if it's subdividable, so we just then assess for one lot. Then the next day, really, they could go back and then create 2 more lots, but that's
But
a
it would
bunch
have to be
of.
approved, right? We would have to approve it.
No, this is a simple subdivision, you don't really have to approve it. I mean, Mr. Beatty.
Well, Madam Mayor, no, I think you're exactly right. That's what I was thinking about. In terms of approval, if somebody came in with an application that met requirements, and apparently 4121 does meet requirements, you would be compelled to approve it.
Right. So, I mean, I'm not saying we should or shouldn't just charge them too.
I'd probably say based on past practice, we would. I guess if we're relying on that, I guess obviously the council has the discretion, but there's multiple situations, from past assessment rolls where we've assessed vacant lots based on that they're developable or whatever.
If they're developable. I know if they're not, if you can't build on it, if it doesn't have the setbacks or whatever, I don't know, then we haven't. I think on Game Farm, that was a situation where it was just not buildable. And so.
But this one is buildable, so.
It definitely is, yes. It might even be able to be split into 2. Maybe. If that's what they would apply for, we'd have to look at it.
We don't have to make that decision tonight, but we will by the special assessment hearing. And it would probably be good if we made a decision tonight or soon so that the property owner is well aware of our intentions of where we're going with this.
I think if they can split the lot, they have to pay.
Well, it's already split, so.
Good. I think we stick with past precedent.
That's precedent.
Assess the weight and all.
Well, and also that it sounds like the county would not stop them from using the county access. That would be a big thing. So, it seems like we should assess the lot.
Okay. Mr. Governor?
Yeah, I would concur with that, based on past practice and that they still can build. Lean towards assessment.
Okay.
Thank you for that direction, I appreciate it. So with that, all right. So when we look at the proposed funding for this project, as I mentioned, we do have, it's a split between city costs and specially assessed costs. For the surface improvements, we have just over $600,000 proposed to be assessed. This is based on the estimated costs in the feasibility report. And then both the sanitary sewer and the water main costs would be 100% paid by the city. So we're looking at just under $900,000 city responsibility and just over $600,000 for specially assessed at just approximately $1.5 million project. And if council approves the plan for specifications this evening and authorizes advertisement for bids, the actual costs of each of these components is what we would base the final project funding on. Again, with the specially assessed portion, depending on how these different areas come in for costs, we would certainly split that, but the final cost would be based on the bid prices. So here we are this evening, requesting approval, plans and specifications and authorizing advertisement for bids. If we get that approval this evening, we would open up bids early February 5th. And
What day is that?
It's a Wednesday.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes,
So
I just wanted to remind everyone.
Yes, the quick backstory on that is we had a project a handful of years ago where we had a bid opening on a day, and we only received one bid, and so we've adjusted our bid opening date based on feedback from that bid opening. It was good feedback. So on Wednesday the 5th, and then we would be looking to, for council to order the assessment hearing February 17th, and then holding that hearing on March 17th, which is also historically when we've had council, ask council to accept the bids and award the contract. We are looking at construction sometime between June and September of this year. And then what we're putting in the specs is that once work has begun on a road, that they would have to have it paved within 3 weeks. So we're allowing a large window of time for contractors to take a look at doing this project in Minnetrista in an effort to get low bid prices. But then also saying, once you're here, you get the work done on the road and you pave it and be on your way, because we want to minimize that disruption to our residents.
But it's not all 3 roads, or whatever, it's a wind bridge or it's, it's per
Correct.
section.
Yep, that would be within project area. And with this type of project, I would just anticipate that they'll start in one area, do that work, and, so it's, so I would anticipate they would come in and do each road sequentially, so.
Is 3 weeks long enough? To get good bids?
3 weeks is enough for the work that we're doing on here, because there isn't a significant amount of work being done in each area. Trillium's, with a little bit of curb work that we have in Trillium, but it's not an extensive amount of removal and replacement. And there's also not storm sewer extension. That's where you usually need to get the additional time in through there. So we were originally looking at 4, and I talked to Gary, and we thought 3 weeks would be a better option for us.
Okay.
So with that, we're asking that council approve plans and specifications, authorize advertisement for bids, and there is a resolution in the packet to that effect.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Governor?
Nope.
Good.
So we must have like 60 days to act on the bid then, right? Just based on that timeline or something to that effect is what it's saying, or?
Correct. So after bids are opened, in the specifications, we indicate that council would act on awarded bid within 60 days.
Okay.
So we would have plenty of time to do that based on the bid opening and the.
So we would have to act on it no later than April 5th, would be the latest.
Correct.
60 days, yeah, okay. Excellent.
Get a lot of bids, right? Or a lot of good bids.
Hopefully. But, so bid opening is February 5th, but then we can act on it all the way up to April. So if they come in really high, we can reject them and rebid it then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Then, if there's no other questions, we have a motion to approve resolution number 4-25, approving the plans and specifications and authorizing the advertisement for bids for the 2025 street improvement project.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Governor. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Lacy. Further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. And also, just FYI, we like to get these bids and specs out this time of year because it seems like you get better bids and more bids. So, because they're trying to line up their jobs for this summer. So, this is really good timing. All right. Then we move on to item number 6B, and that's the resolution for the JPA. Do you want to quickly talk about that?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of City Council, before you is a resolution that supports a JPA that has been, I guess, the preferred organizational model being brought forward for the fire partnership. We've talked about a few different things, but I think everybody's kind of on the same page finally to move forward with the JPA. What this resolution does is just reaffirms our support for continuing that conversation and developing that JPA. So that's all I really have. I think everybody's pretty much up to speed about the fire partnership. Councilmember Govern, if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to me after the meeting. But this is something, I think it goes back to 2001 when it was first essentially thought of that we were going to have some sort of regional fire protection model in Minnetrista and the surrounding lakes areas. So we're kind of working toward seeing that through here, hopefully in the next year. So this is a reaffirming that we want to do it and continue the process. So there is a resolution that is in the packet. I also printed it off since it was a late addition to the packet. If you want to look at it. So it just affirms that our support for continuing the GPA development. So I'll stand for any questions.
Okay. Otherwise, is there a motion to approve the resolution as presented to us in the packet?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Lacy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Govern. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. So that concludes all of our business items, and we'll move on to administrative staff reports.
Yes, I have a couple items. I know I sent an email out about the strategic planning session and see if there's some availability either the week of February 2nd or the week of February 9th. Typically, these sessions last, I think, about 4 hours, and if we need to schedule more, we can, but the last two that we've done have been able to fit in that time frame to just be conscious of everybody else's schedule. So
Is it evening, Jasper?
it would be, well, we've typically started around 3:30. It goes until 7:30, I think is what we plan. There's a little break in there for restroom and snacks and stuff like that, but we can typically get through it. I think I have about 10 topics that we want to talk through. Some might take a couple minutes and some might take an hour. So we'll work through those. So I was just you don't have to tell me right now unless you know, but if you could send me a time or a date that works or dates that don't work, and I can kind of cross-reference it. So
Unless you know your schedule now.
unless you know it now.
I'm now. The second works best for me.
The week of the 2nd or the date, the 2nd?
The second is a Sunday, so.
Second.
Oh. The week of it.
The 3rd through the 7th.
Okay.
works for me.
All right.
After the 7th is gonna be tough.
I think after the 7th, you're not available, so the first week.
First week.
So we do have a city council meeting on the 3rd.
Okay. So we could do the 4th.
Yeah.
You want to do the 5th?
I thought you said
Right.
is February 5th, the council meeting? I thought the mayor was mentioning.
The next one is on a Wednesday, the 22nd.
Oh, the 22nd.
Yeah.
22nd.
February one's on the 3rd.
Yeah.
council.
Yep.
The 5th works, Jasper.
Okay.
The 5th, does the 5th work for everybody?
Yes.
So the 5th from 3:30 to 7:30?
4:30.
Okay.
No.
We,
How about
yeah.
7 during the day?
We did during the day.
Yeah.
Over the noon hour.
Yeah.
I can't, not that.
No, because we did, because Ann and I went to lunch and came in right as it was starting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we can do it.
Okay.
We're all here, the staff is here. It's really up to you.
3:30, I can do
when it's convenient for the city council.
I think it's up to you.
Mark's close right here.
I think you two are the,
Permanently closed.
right?
I would go as flat from it.
You want to do it earlier or?
No, we're
You don't,
open.
okay.
Doors
Right.
open very
Okay.
late.
All right, 3:30 on the 5th.
I'll send out a.
Send out an invite, okay.
Yep, yep,
All right.
okay, that's rough. All right, so 3:30 on the 5th, and then we'll hopefully be able to wrap it up by 6:30. See, I'll do my best.
Plus, we'll know what the bids are.
We will. The last thing I have is that, there's a new legislative session that's starting at the state capitol. Lisa and myself have a meeting with Andrew Myers coming up in a couple weeks, so we're going to start the full court press on bonding requests, and hopefully we'll be able to, shake some money out of the state for our water treatment plant. We're going to continue that. We'll see what happens.
Can any of us go with you on that or no?
It's actually here. It's going to be at City Hall. So I would say if there's, at the most, one other council member, otherwise we run into some quorum things.
He's been very supportive. I don't
Yes.
see any issue getting him to support it again. So, I mean, it's
Yep.
not.
I just like to see you in action.
Oh.
Well, it's a lot of like, yeah, we'll do this. This makes sense. It's just a matter of getting everybody else,
But
on
if
board
you'd
at
like,
the Capitol.
again, we could have one other council member if you'd like to be, it's 10 o'clock.
When is that?
It is on,
22nd.
I believe so. Yeah, the
Maybe
20,
it's the 22nd.
January 22nd at 10 a.m. So this is a short 30-minute meeting. So the way it works, just so everybody knows, is we need Andrew's in the House. He will sponsor likely a bill for us. We need a companion bill in the Senate. We're going to be meeting with our new senator.
Have you set that up yet?
It's in process.
In process,
Yeah.
okay.
So
All right.
we'll have a companion bill in the Senate as well. They need to kind of join up and then both get passed with some money attached to them, and then the governor needs to sign it. First thing we need to do is get a bonding bill passed, just in general. We didn't get one last year. So we will see. We will make the effort to try and demonstrate that we have this need in this community for this water treatment, and see if we can get some funds. So
This is kind of the same thing that Mom was trying to do.
yep.
Mountain got.
A couple years ago, they got like $10,300,000.
Everybody, yeah.
How do they determine, what do we,
We got a number of dollars.
Yep.
So
So
last year, remember, we went, and there were both bills, both House and Senate, and we were supported by both our representative and our senator. And we went through the whole bonding process on tour, went and presented and all of that. And then they didn't pass the bonding bill. So
so that could
Yeah.
happen.
it could, so, but we have to start.
So,
Yeah.
we start here with Andrew.
yeah, and he's been nothing.
Yeah.
Yep. He's been a great supporter. He's been a champion for, I think, a lot of the lake communities that he represents. So we will see.
We had great support from Kelly Morrison this time too.
We did.
She was really championed that. So we're hoping, so I'm sure we'll get support again from our representatives.
Yeah.
Um,
That's all I have.
That's all you have?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Any council reports?
I have one, two, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll go quick. So as you know, Midco began construction this
Yeah.
summer, with kind of the franchise agreement build out. So I'll just kind of give you a progress update. So of the 3,953 passings, so that's eventual connections, 1,716 are serviceable today. So that's the progress they've made over the summer. By the end of January, they will be adding a few, which makes the total passings of 2,035 for 2024, which is a little over 50% of their project. Over the winter, they complete splicing, and continue customer installs. And in the spring, they will begin work north of Lotus around County Road 44. And the project is on schedule.
Okay, great.
It's a little Midco update. The tree lighting event was, I would call it a success, even though it was cold. It was cold. We estimated about 200 to 250 attendees. The fireworks was a huge hit. The food was a huge hit, they sold out the most.
And the fireworks, thanks to our great sponsors.
Yeah.
We had WSB and Kennedy and Graydon and AE2S and Lifetime Fitness were our big sponsors and really helped out with the costs. So
Yeah.
great, thank you so much.
We made note for next year to set them off sooner.
We did. We're making a few tweaks next year.
Okay, yeah.
And hoping for more.
So,
And then,
sometimes.
one last thing, I sent you all an email about our M365 transition, so if you want to make sure you follow those steps sometime this week. I can help you out after the meeting if you want to. It's super quick. Just want to make sure you're not left out of that. So if you just want to complete that, I can do it for you after the meeting too quickly if you want me to. So that's it for me.
Okay. Any other staff reports? Do we need somebody for planning this month?
We do. Do we have a volunteer?
I think I can do it.
All right.
Okay. All right. And then, any other staff, council reports? You know, Kathleen and I have been going to these partnership meetings, just so you know. And at our last meeting, we kind of talked a little bit about where we're going to be at by the summer and end of the year. And I was happy to hear that we all think we should be really through a lot of this by the end of the summer. So cross our fingers. Let's hope we can get there. We're hoping that we can have all of our ducks in a row. We're hoping, again, maybe to be ready to go by 2026 or 2026. So that's for this group, as slow as we've been going, that's really aggressive, but I'm confident we can get there.
And there's some new members.
And
So-
there's going to be some new members, that's right. So there's a new mayor in Spring Park, and then there's a new, probably a new council member on board from Mount, and a new mayor in St. Bonnie as well. So some new members, they'll have to be brought up to speed, but like I said, I'm confident that we can get there. And then the other thing is, so Jasper and I attended it was a Twin City Housing Alliance forum, and back in December on the 11th. And it was interesting. And one of the panelists was the new Net Council Administrator. Kind of cornered him. And yeah, kind of, asked him about density, and I won't go into details about that discussion. But I've also been in contact with not only our rep, Dr. Carter, but also Judy Johnson, who is a rep for that area up in that more northwestern area. And I think all of us out here have expressed our sincere concern about the 4 units an acre that they are requiring, and that they are probably going to be requiring. So we're working on that. Yeah. And one of the big topics in this forum was affordable housing. Unfortunately, out here, it doesn't work so well because we don't have public transportation, we don't have the jobs. So again, I try to emphasize we're not against affordable housing. We're not against people with lower incomes. That's not it at all. It's just that we don't have the public transportation, we don't have the jobs, we don't have affordable land. That's the other issue. So those are some of the things that we're up against, and that's one of the reasons why the Met Council is putting this 4 units an acre on everybody. And some communities have even higher densities than that. So that's kind of the battle that we're dealing with right now.
So no community has the right to want to remain relatively rural.
You can remain rural, except, well, you're not well, yes and no. So what happens is when we have to redo our 10-year comp plan or update it, they give us a number. They say this is how many units you have to have in your comp plan, new units. And so then we have to figure out where we want those units to go. And right now, for instance, we decided we wanted a little bit larger lots. We had to meet the 3 units per acre. and we wanted larger lots. So what we did is we put a whole bunch of housing units, high density, over there by St. Bonnie. Well, the problem with that is all of the developers that have looked at it are like, no, we don't want that high density out here. That doesn't sell out here. And so that's what we're up against. So
Can't we just keep leaving it there and, I mean,
We
if
can
nobody
leave it.
wants to buy it and build it and do that, that's not our fault, right?
That's true to some extent, but we also have to keep in mind, because of this water infrastructure, we do need more housing. We do need more developers coming in and doing more developments. Again, we don't have to be explosive, we don't have to do 300-400 units a year, but we do need consistently more, maybe 100 units a year. So we have to look at that aspect as well. What do we want to open up at what density and where?
Also, Mayor, how full is the Juniper?
It's a rental, and when I was there, I went there for their open house back in December. No, when was it? October, November? Back there, whatever it was. Lovely facility. Very, very lovely. If you want to rent there. But at that time, it was not very full at all. So they're really hoping to get more. At that time, there was not very many at all. It's 148 units, as you know, and it had like maybe 40 people renting, 40 units.
So if that doesn't fill, why would they keep pushing us for more?
Mhm.
It's like, go.
Well, it's not affordable. See, it's not a part of the affordable housing.
I see.
But, yeah, it's what the market will bear, and that's the problem out here. And I talked to several developers, and they were saying, yeah, out here, high density doesn't always work. So, we'll have to work on it. So with that, also I attended the Northwest League, and it was basically just a year-end wrap-up, and it was very nice to do that. And just a good networking opportunity, and we welcomed a lot of new, soon-to-be mayors. I know Medina has a new mayor, and Greenfield has a new mayor, and of course, Marvin Johnson, mayor of Independence, is outgoing after 44 years as mayor, and I think 45 years on the council. And his open house retirement, going away party, if you will, is on January 30th, I believe. So if anybody is interested in attending, and I will be attending that. Again, I've known Marvin for 20-some years, so I will be there. But yeah, it's on January 30th from 5 to 8 at Independence City Hall. So again, I can't imagine doing it that long. I mean, I'm sorry. I can't imagine doing it for that long. It's really I'll never make it. So, with that,
I do actually forget, I have an announcement.
Yeah.
So, the Community and Commerce has asked me to remind you that the Lake Minnetonka Public Lunch is coming up on the 25th. And they're woefully behind on their goal. They're trying to raise 100,000, so I signed up the entire city council on Minnetrista.
yeah, right. We had to jump in the lake. No, ain't gonna happen. I would have a heart attack.
Let's go, Richard, we'll go right after you.
Peter will do it.
The guys are going first, but.
When is it?
Keep it in.
When is
It's the 25th,
Um,
12, January. Nice and.
Oh, yeah, I'm busy that night.
Really awesome.
It's yours.
Yeah.
Really cool for
Let's do it. Come on, Minnetrista. Let's do it.
My daughter's done it. Yeah, she's a lot younger.
Yeah. I think there's an age limit, right? There's an age limit.
I think the police department should jump in and do that. That sounds wonderful.
There you go.
Those are users.
I agree.
Yeah. A lot more.
Well, all right. All right, so with that, I think that's everything, and with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So much.
Thank you, Ms. Rifkin. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Gardner, that second. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes 5-0. And we will meet again on it's Wednesday, January 22nd, because Monday is a holiday, so then we push it out to Wednesday, so just so you know. Note of that. Thank you very much, and this has been very fun. It's been great. Yes, it's been always fun. They're always fun. Oh, they're always fun. Come on, Claudia, they're always